You took the deferred resignation offer, Vera, some combination of the two earlier this year, decided to leave your federal career. And no question, that's a big decision point, but what comes next is really important. That's what we want to talk about in the video here today. Just a couple of concepts that will help you address transitioning into whatever comes next for you. Talking about managing income and expenses, addressing those gap years, creating an investment strategy that will help support lifetime income, as well as balancing risk across your financial plan. So really 4 key concepts. There's so many more that we can touch on, but this will get you started. Now, that decision point was likely hard. I gotta address, there's probably a few people, more than a few people out there where the timing was great, right? You got some additional benefits, hit the ground running into retirement, but for so many federal employees, this has been a difficult decision. It continues to be a difficult decision for so many. And, as hard as it's been calculating the FERS annuity, figuring out your special retirement supplement, if that's gonna apply, talking about FEHB benefits, that's really the easy part. So we need to address the rest of the financial plan. Hopefully you updated or built a financial plan as part of this process when you decided to leave your federal career. If not, now's the perfect opportunity to get started. Okay, so let's talk about this. Let's look at an example. I've got Sally, 56-year-old federal employee, 28 years of service with her agency. She took the deferred resignation offer earlier this year in combination with Vera. She was able to negotiate a November retirement date. She wanted to do that because it coincided with her MRA, allow her to potentially get the SRS right away if she doesn't go back to work and lose some of that to the earnings test. The offer sounded great, right? Get paid until the end of the year, start collecting a pension check, continue your FEHB benefits, your health insurance, as well as get out of a job that's, changing and really starting to wear on her a little bit. So all around, it sounded good. She took the offer and is excited for the next chapter. Her situation looks like this. So she's married, husband's a couple years older, still working. She's got a TSP, he's got some retirement money, they've got some taxable money together, as well as home equity and a mortgage on that house. So the setup is pretty similar to what we see for a lot of federal employees, at least here in Northern Virginia. While the offer sounded good, the numbers are actually pretty tight, so they're not looking great just yet for them. Let's take a look at why. So when we started looking at the FERS basic annuity, the numbers are good. She's got 28 years of service. It's a full unreduced annuity. But, after considering the survivor benefit, FEHB, as well as income taxes, it's going to really be down 30 to 35% from, the gross amount that's being quoted. So some pretty significant amounts coming off of that. Unavoidable, just expenses we have to account for. The SRS will kick in provided that she doesn't, go back to work and lose it to the earnings test, but of course that will also be taxed. Now, of course, she's not going to be making what she was in salary. There's no question about that. But if her husband also decides to retire, they're going to be short of what they need from an expense standpoint, just to keep the household going. If they take 4 to 5% from their investment, so take a distribution, start that income stream early, they'll be pretty close to what they need, but it's not going to build in much room for fun, right? It's really just going to be meeting their needs and expenses. Also, if they start taking money out this early, that's just, it's creating additional stress on the investment portfolio to last, you're extending the timeline. The good news is husband wants to continue working as long as he's able to, right? So Joe's going to continue to go to work. And Sally, I don't know what she's going to do yet. I mean, she would consider different options. So we'll see. Maybe she'll go back to work and find something where she can contribute to the needs of the household and relieve some of the pressure, not have to think about taking money from, their investment portfolio just yet. Because here's the deal. Now, this is kind of a perfect example of the gap years. Right. These gap years we used to talk about them as age 62 to 67, which was full retirement age for Social Security versus taking it when you first, are eligible at 62. But now as, timelines are shifting earlier and earlier, we're really talking about these timelines between like 56, 57, 58, and 62 when you can first take your Social Security benefits. Whether or not that's the right time to do it is another question that needs to be addressed carefully. But, that's kind of what we're talking about when we think about the gap years. Each Sally and Joe will have a significant benefit to fall back on, and that will alleviate a lot of the pressure from an income standpoint. It'll open things up for them, allow them to have more flexibility, freedom with their money. But getting there is the challenge, right? And so, as we mentioned, in this case, working probably makes the most sense for both of them if we can leave the investment portfolios alone. And, the other option is, of course, cut expenses if you can do that. Nothing wrong with that strategy either, right? Of course, if you're able to adjust, live on less, and still, you have your time. That's really what the most valuable resource that any of us have are. So flexible, you can make that work also great. Just things to be considering. So figuring out your plan for the gap years. And this also plays directly into the third concept that I want to talk about, creating a sustainable investment strategy that will support that lifetime income. One of the big challenges, and I've been talking about this a lot recently, is we're seeing a lot of risk in investor portfolios. Okay, the markets have been good, timelines have shifted maybe a little unexpectedly, and we're still carrying a lot of stocks in our portfolios. So we see federal employees come in 80, 90% plus in equities. Okay. And now their timeline is, I might need to take money from this thing within the next 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, right? So it's a really short timeline compared to when we're talking about taking equity risk. We really want a 5-year timeline or more for, a piece of that. So it's really a short timeline. Okay. And this is not investment advice, of course. This is just for education information. If you need investment advice, you got a professional that can help you with your situation. But now's the time to be considering what's suitable within your investment mix. Do I need to start shifting things to create the right setup so my money will last over my lifetime, be able to provide the income that I need, keep up with pay raises, cost of living adjustments? What's the right structure there? Maybe use buckets, but definitely creating the right mix of stocks, bonds, and then the different types of each of those investments, right? Because there are certain investments that work really well together inside of that kind of portfolio construction. So that's an important component that we need to talk about, creating that right investment mix, taking a look at it. Now, if your timeline is shorter, Sally and Joe's case, they definitely need to take a look at what's going on there, figure out their plan going forward. All right, and the last part is balancing risk across your financial plan. So we talked about cash flow, we talked about investments, but there's a lot of other areas of financial planning that we need to address. Insurance is a big one, plays a role different times throughout our lives. Life insurance is important for many different reasons. Long-term care insurance play a role in our later years. Disability coverage while we're still working. You got home, auto, and umbrella coverage, liability as well as property damage coverages. All those things need to be evaluated as part of your financial plan. So take a look at that and see what types of insurance you have, if the coverage is appropriate for whatever your specific goals are, okay? And then estate planning. This is something we love to procrastinate on. So updating documents so that, they're current and they reflect your wishes. Very important stuff. Evaluating the use of a trust, making sure your beneficiaries are named properly. All of these things we need to take a look at. And then, what are your ultimate goals from a legacy planning standpoint? We can start incorporating, different tax strategies from that standpoint, or Roth conversions, something that you want to take a look at. What other opportunities are there to reduce or limit tax liability? So to sum it all up, what we're talking about here is creating a dynamic plan that will help you navigate these next chapters. You made the big decision to leave your federal career. Now's the perfect opportunity to firm all this stuff up if you haven't done so yet. Okay. So questions, would love to hear them. Would love to hear what you're working on, be a resource for you. Please feel free to reach out. And if you found some value here, give us a like and a subscribe. We'll see you next time.